Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out the Mosasaurus in Bandai's Imaginary Skeleton line. So if you guys are dinosaur fans, especially like of the skeletal variety, this line has been really cool. The Tyrannosaurus and the Triceratops before it were such cool kits. I'm really looking forward to the Mosasaurus here. Not in fact a dinosaur, but from that same time period, of course, and still a really cool design here for this one. Really great for if you guys are into very realistic representations of some of these skeletons, and this one, just the pose on it as well, also just looks super cool. So let's go ahead and check out the 1/32 scale imaginary skeleton Mosasaurus. So as always for the box art for this, the Mosasaurus skeleton looking very cool in this kind of museum setting. Again, this is meant to be presented as like a kind of very scientific and educational model kit. So we have the same thing there on the side. On the bottom of the box, another long photo stretching the entire length of the bottom of the box there, which is pretty cool. Some detail images. All the information is in Japanese and in English as well. So again, if you are really interested in this type of scientific material, or you have kids that are, maybe if you're a parent, then these are really nice. You don't need to have to speak or read any Japanese in order to enjoy it as well. Here you can see the stand that it comes with and the clear parts that are going to be used for having this, so it looks like it's swimming above the stand, which is a nice kind of seafloor looking bit right there. And there's a look at the included booklet in here, which is going to have even more information for us, and we'll see that in just a moment once we pop open the box, which I think we can just go ahead and do right now. So let's get this off of here first. The box size is about the same if you've built either the Tyrannosaurus or the Triceratops before. The box feels just about the same as those. So we'll take a look at all the runners in just a moment. As usual, inside here we've got two different booklets. One is going to be instructions for just putting the kit together, which I think is going to be this one here. On the back side has some more photos of the assembled kit, some detail images like what we saw on the outside of the box, and then a little kind of mini tutorial here about how to kind of paint it just to make it look even that much nicer. Just a little bit of painting and I think weathering here on the kit, just to make it look pretty nice there. That looks really cool. On the inside of here, we do have our parts list, which is there in color, although it's not exactly the most colorful thing anyway. And then the beginning of our assembly here is in color as well, with some little bits along the way with the insistence point. I'm not sure, just kind of a little important detail or interesting detail they're pointing out kind of along the way for the construction that you can kind of stop and take a look at some of this information here. There's another one up there for like the front fins, and I think that's going to be it for the insistence points along the construction of the kit. But let's take a look at our other booklet here, because this is the much more interesting one. Obviously you need that for putting the kit together, but this one here is going to be with all of the information here. So a study of prehistoric marine reptiles, Mosasaurus edition. So yes, not a dinosaur, but a prehistoric reptile in this case. On the back there is some credits for that, which is really cool. And yeah, here on the inside, starting off, we've just got a bunch of text. Like I said, everything's in Japanese and in English. A timeline of the evolution here from the Mosasaurus to other types of reptiles. There, for example, some really nice illustrations over here on this page of the non-skeletal version. This one's really cool. A nice big photograph of the kit, and then it shows information about each part. So it's all labeled here for you, and then we have more information about kind of each part of the skeleton, which is very cool. Next page is some more even close-up detail here about different aspects of the skeleton there, about the jaws, about the fins, about the rib cage, the eyes. So a lot of really cool information in here. Continuing on to the next page, this is the fossils speak to us section. I guess we have some on display at, looks like, some different sites there in Hokkaido, and or that's areas where there was some fossils discovered. I'll have to read the text to get the full story on that, but here you can see an assembled fossil there with a paleontologist or a scientist there. I'm assuming they're in Japan. Let's continue here onto the next page as well, where they may be talking a little bit about the Tylosaurus, which is like the larger version of the Mosasaurus, basically. Sort of like a swimming Tyrannosaurus Rex, if you can imagine that, but very cool. So a lot of information there, definitely not a light reader. Well, I guess light in comparison to like a full-on book, but it's definitely more information than just like a couple little blurbs anyway, so that's really nice. Here is the A runner, and as you would expect, like most of the runners here, it's going to be molded in this very nice looking brown and some fantastic details on there. And it's continued here onto runner B, and you can just see all these little details on here, all of those tiny little parts, so you're going to want to be careful with all of that, of course, but it's just going to Looks so nice when it's put together. Here's runner C, where we're getting some of the fins, the lower part of the rib cage there, which is a specific name for that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Here's runner D and E for a bunch of the rib pieces. Now, if you're worried about putting this together and thinking you might get some of these parts confused because they all look so similar, Bandai actually does a really good job of marking these so that you can't get them confused. So let's see, this one has the 2 little lines there. This one over here, number 8, has 2 little dots. This one here, number 7, has 4 little dots, and number 5 here has a line with a kind of dot and a line on the side. So anyway, you get the point that they're all marked separately. So even if you were to cut all these off and you have no idea which number is which, you can tell which one is which by the little marking on each part. Runner F is going to be our base plate piece here, and again, really nicely detailed with all this aquatic life detailed there at the bottom. And finally, runner G is a clear ABS runner here for our stand parts, and that's it. All right, here it is all built up. Check out that snaky boy. Really, really cool. Such a cool kit. And obviously, just because of the nature of this kit, the review portion of this video is not going to be too extensive because there's not really too much to go over. It doesn't like have any features or gimmicks or articulation or accessories or anything like that we kind of normally look at in these review videos. It's just going to be like, this is it, this is what you got. But I do want to take a nice close look at everything, show you guys this model just kind of in as much detail as I can, and I'll just kind of let you know some of my thoughts about it here. So first off, just on the note of the scale of it, at 1/32 scale, it is really quite nice, very sizable and very long, as I said, but of course, because the body kind of like wraps around like this, it's not necessarily going to take up a huge amount of space, but it is a substantial amount of space. It's going to be taken up here by this on the shelf, with the base measuring about 15 centimeters by 25 centimeters, so something to take into consideration. And just take a nice close-up look at the base here. Really cool. One thing that I think is a little bit disappointing is that like some of these parts like here for this shell, it's very nice like on the top, but then on the side it just kind of goes like straight down rather than like normally it should be like kind of curved down, right? So it'd be nice maybe if some of like these larger shapes were a separate piece on maybe some different releases in the future, so that way they could mold them in a way that they don't need to go just like straight down here on the sides. It's a very small gripe to make, but otherwise, I mean, it's very nicely detailed here. And the way that it's molded, I mean, it does look like it's a separate piece, like the starfish here in particular. I mean, just the way that it's molded with the lines around it, it would appear that it's a separate piece when it's all just one big solid piece there for the base plate. The clear parts then that support it, there's 2 clear stands that support it at the front and the back, basically the front legs and the hind legs, or flippers, I guess. And those also work really nice. It does stand up pretty tall here. From the bottom of the base to the tip of the nose, it's about 18 centimeters tall, which is about the height of like your standard master grade 1/100 scale Gundam kit, for example. And as you can see, as I'm kind of like moving it around here, it's wobbling a little bit being up on that base, but it is very solid and secure. I can just actually turn it upside down like that, and you can see it's going to hold it just fine. So if we take a look in real close on like some of the bones here on the appendages, on the flippers or hands and feet, I guess, whatever you might want to call them, metatarsals, I believe. Anyway, that could be wrong, but there's going to be a little bit of some like a seam line here on a couple of those little parts. Otherwise, the way that the parts fit together is done in a way that makes it pretty seamless and not noticeable, whereas lines that are like just lines between pieces of plastic or actual pieces of bone, like here on the underside of the skull, like you can see a little bit like right there, but otherwise all the separation between the actual plastic parts is hidden pretty well. A lot of really great detail in and around there. But that's going to be about it, guys. We'll take a look around the model here just to finish up. And again, I want to say that I really enjoyed this line. They are really cool. That said, they are of course for a particular fan base. I mean, and if you're here watching this video on my channel because you're normally into like mecha models and Gundam and things like that, it may not be something that necessarily is of interest to you. But if you're interested in just building something kind of like a different kind of model kit, you want just a little bit kind of change of pace. And while just snap building this kit, I mean, just displaying it just as it is out of the box is quite nice. I mean, just being all in one color essentially. Obviously you could do some work to make the skeleton and the base in particular to look even that much better by doing some more painting on it, and I think there's definitely plenty of opportunity there to make this look really cool. Also, you could make it into some other sort of like diorama or something like that, which I think would also be really quite interesting. So while I think it's a really cool model on its own, it's of course still wide open for you to customize it or come up with some really creative ideas of what you might want to do with this model kit aside aside from just, snap building it and displaying it as it is. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you've not tried out this line yet, this being the third release in the line and hopefully many more in the future. I do really enjoy it quite a bit. Let me know what you think of this, maybe compared with the previous 2 kits that we've had out in the line so far. And let me know what you guys might like to see in the future. I think it would be really cool after getting this one to also see maybe like a pterosaur, or maybe a pteranodon would be the obvious choice, or something more interesting, maybe like a quetzalcoatl or something like that. Alternatively, something like a brachiosaurus would be cool, and it would be quite large. It would be really interesting though. Otherwise, like some of the different ceratopsians or theropods I think would also be, of course, really nice. An allosaurus, or of course velociraptor, some of the more famous ones, of course. But if you guys want to check out some of the available kits in the line so far, or anything else from Bandai, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Got all sorts of cool stuff there for you guys to check out. And as always, thank y'all so much for checking out the video here today, and for all of your support. Until next time, guys, have a great day. See y'all later. Bye-bye.